Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation. As you can see on the screen, our topic today is rural economy. I have divided my presentation into two main points. I will begin with the characteristics of rural economy. After that, I will be looking at the problems of rural economy. First of all, I would like to give you an overview of rural economics. Rural economics deals with the application of economic principles in understanding and developing rural areas. In general, rural areas are geographical areas located outside towns and cities. According to the Census of India, the basic unit of rural area is the revenue village. Rural economy refers to villages and rural community refers to people living in villages. According to the 2011 population census, there are 6,40,867 villages in India and 68.84% of total population live in rural areas. Now I will focus on the features of rural economy. Now I would like to give you an outline of each characteristics of rural economy. The first characteristic of rural economy is village is an institution. The village is the primary institution and it satisfies almost all the needs of the rural community. The rural people have a feeling of belongingness and a sense of unity towards each other. Dependence on agriculture. The rural economy depends much on nature and agricultural activities. Agriculture and allied activities are the main occupation in rural areas. Life of rural people. Lifestyles in rural areas are very simple. Public services like education, housing, health and sanitation, transport and communication, banking, roads and markets are very limited and unavailable. Rural people rely much on faith, superstitions, and traditional cultural practices. The standard of living of majority of rural people are poor and pitiable. In terms of methods of production, social organization, and political mobilization, rural sector is extremely backward and weak. In recent years, the incidence of alcohol drinking have gone up. Population density measured by number of persons living per square kilometer is very low and houses are dispersed in the entire villages. Now I give attention about the next feature of rural economy is employment. There exists unemployment, seasonal unemployment and underemployment in rural areas. Unemployment refers to the situation of people with willingness and ability to work but is not getting employed. Underemployment is also called disguised unemployment is the situation of people employed in excess over and above the requirement. Disguised unemployment is a situation where people work but no increase in production. Both the sides are common in rural areas. Poverty. Poverty is a condition where the basic needs of the people like food, clothing and shelter are not being met. According to 2011-12 estimates, about 22 crores of people in rural areas are poor and live below the poverty line. Indebtedness. People in rural areas are highly indebted owing to poverty and unemployment, lack of farm and non-farm employment opportunities, low wage employment, seasonality in production, poor marketing network. Since farm and loan facilities are not available to rural villages, they depend on local money lenders. They crush the villagers. Hence, the villagers commit suicide frequently. Rural income. The income of rural people is forced as the rural economy is not sufficient vibrant to provide them with the jobs or self-employed opportunities. Large proportion of laborers and skilled persons are underemployed and the scope for increasing their income is limited. Now, I would like to update you on the ninth feature of rural economy is dependency. Rural households are largely dependent on social grants and remittances from family members working in urban areas and cities. Dualism. Dualism means the coexistence of two extremely different features like developed and underdeveloped, organized and unorganized, traditional and modern, regulated and unregulated, poor and rich, skilled and unskilled, and similar contradicting situation in a region. These characteristics are very common in rural areas. Inequality, the distribution of income, wealth, and assets are highly skewed among rural people. There are a number of historical, social, economic, and political reasons behind the existence of inequality. Landlords and landowners dominate the rural activities. Land, livelihood, and other assets are owned by few people. Lastly, I will deal with migration. Rural people are forced to migrate from villages to urban areas in order to seek gainful employment for their livelihood. Now, I would like to raise briefly about the problems of rural economy. Rural areas are facing number of problems relating to people, agriculture, infrastructure and economy, society and culture, leadership and administration. I would like to discuss about the people related problems. The problems related to individuals and their standard of living consist of illiteracy, lack of technical know-how, low level of confidence, dependence on sentiments and beliefs, etc. Next, we shift on to agriculture related problems. The problems related to agriculture include lack of expected awareness, knowledge, skill and attitude, unavailability of inputs, poor marketing facility, insufficient extension, staff and services, multi-dimensional tasks to extension personnel, small size of landholding, subdivision and fragmentation of landholding, absence of infrastructure to work and stay in villages, primitive technology and low adoption of modern technologies, reduced public investment and absence of role for farmers in fixing the prices for their own products. Next, I will highlight on infrastructural related problems. Poor infrastructural facilities like water, electricity, transport, educational institutions, communication, health, employment, storage facilities, banking and insurance are found in rural areas. Next, we move on to the economics related problems. The economic problems related to rural areas are inability to adopt high cost technology, high cost of inputs, underprivileged rural industries, low income, indebtedness, and existence of inequality in landholding and assets. In fertile areas, a few absent landlords own large area. They do not show greater interest in improving the performance of agriculture. I would like to raise briefly about leadership related problems. The specific leadership related problems found in rural areas are leadership among the hands of inactive and incompetent people, self-interest of leaders, biased political will, less bargaining power, and denial of skills and dominance of political leaders. Finally, I would like to address the administrative problems. The rural administrative problems consist of political interference, lack of motivation and interest, low wages in villages, improper utilization of budget, and absence of monitoring and implementation of rural development program. I hope you understand the topic related to the features and problems of rural economy. Thank you.